Hi everyone, welcome to HR1 Masterclass, designing employee journeys that actually improve retention. My name is Sugandha and I'm the community manager at HR1 and I'm delighted to have all of you here with us today. HR1 is the AI supercharged simplest HR software to automate complex HR processes from hire to retire. G2 awarded HR1 for highest customer satisfaction rate among 1.17 lakhs global products on G2's Best Software Awards 2025. Loved by 2,000 brands, trusted by 10 lakh plus active users, and finally the HRs feel right. As someone who's always been passionate about creating meaningful employee experiences and building people first cultures, this session really hits home for me. We talk so much about hiring top talent, but what about keeping them? That's where the real challenge begins. Thank you everyone for taking the time of your day to be part of this live masterclass. Whether you're joining in from HR, leadership, or any role that touches the employee journey, this conversation is for you. Because the truth is, in today's world, retention is everyone's job, and it starts way before someone hands in their resignation. Which brings us to why we are here. So, the topic designing employee journeys that actually improve retention. Not just nice onboarding moments or check the box pulse surveys, but intentional, consistent, human centered experiences that make people feel heard, seen, and valued throughout this time with us. And to help us dive into this important conversation, we have with us a truly incredible guest, Mr. Abhishek Arun. Abhishek isn't just a leader with a stellar track record. He's someone who truly understands how to balance scale with empathy. Over the years, he has led large teams, transformed operational practices, and more importantly, built systems where people thrive, not just survive. His ability to blend strategy with heart is exactly what makes him the perfect person to lead this session. So get ready to take notes, reflect, and maybe even rethink a few things. And just a quick reminder, we'll be taking questions towards the end of the session. Please feel free to drop them in the chat box anytime during the discussion and we'll pick them up in the Q&A section. And thanks everyone again for joining us. And now, Abhishek, over to you.
Thank you, Sugandha. Uh, in fact, you given me the starting line. As in any professional that we are in the field of HR or whatever field we have, there's always a dilemma between the head and the heart. And the best equilibrium is when you balance both. Uh, Thank you for HR1 to giving me this opportunity and welcome all the colleagues from the HR fraternity across and from the industry. I look forward for a very interactive session. My experience is in terms of HR industry is around 19 years. I've worked in manufacturing and I'm an MBA from XISS and around 20 years of experience in manufacturing and then into banking. I would like to speak about my experience today on one of the very important impacting topic that I feel
Hi,
is
Abhishek. I'm so sorry. Your net, I think, is a little unstable, so we're
uh,
unable to hear it very clearly.
okay. Is it better now, Sugandha?
Slightly better.
Okay. So basically, with my experience of around 19 years, I would like to share some of the key points that I feel should be a very impacting part for all the HR fraternity and colleagues. So we can start with the presentation and then we can take up the question and answers towards the end. That's fine. So basically, what we call in, uh, you know, HR in itself is one of the most major, impactor in any organization. We always feel that HR is and support function. But how do you feel about it? Uh, is very, very important. We start telling that we are not just a support function, but a function which actually adds on to the balance sheet size and the profits and become a profit center. So the entire journey for the fraternity should start with this thought that we are a part of the profit center, and one of the major impact that we can do is in terms of uh, managing the one of the aspects, right, among many of the
Hi, Abhishek.
journey we do.
I'm really sorry to jump in again. Actually, the voice is a little unclear still, and the
Okay,
VP is also not visible. So if you can maybe fix that.
PPT is not visible.
PPT is also not visible, and the voice is also breaking. Plus, I think the video is
Okay,
lacking too.
okay. So,
Hi
whether can you
everyone.
just check what
Yeah, you can take it.
streaming, right?
Not yet. It's still loading.
So, am I audible clearly, right, Sugata? Can you just
It's
confirm once?
yes, it's much better. And I think I just saw a comment. They said that we can see the first page of the deck.
Yeah. So, apologies to friends who just joined in. I think this is an important aspects in a daily life where we keep on finding these technological issues. Now, I was speaking about the how do we take our role as an HR as a cost center or a profit center. And I think it's the time that as an HR fraternity, we start speaking about being the profit center for their organization, which can, one of the major aspects in that, profit center aspect could be managing the employee turnover cost. So the topic today is on retention, and what exactly retention? How do we design that retention and calculate the turnover cost for the organization becomes very, very important. Uh, so the first step before we talk about retention, the strategies, I think there should be a mindset in all the people managing retention, especially in the HR fraternity, that it's one of the major way of impacting the profit of the companies. How we'll look forward into it. So let's start. Uh, I have a question for all of you. What part of the employee journey do you think is the biggest retention impact, has the biggest retention impact? Is it pre-boarding, onboarding, the master check-ins, which is the ongoing supports and feedback, the performance reviews, or the post-mortem that I call it, the exit interviews and post-exit stuff? I leave this question with all of you, right? You can note this what according to you is the most important icebreaker, and you can share your feedback towards the end. Now, as the HR fraternity, as the business leaders, as uh, the managers, people who are managing the team, I think it's not just specific to HR to talk about retention. It should be uh, a masterclass for even the business managers, right? In one of the key to their successes is how well they have managed the team, how well they have retained the talent that they have invested, and that goes to the leaders, the business managers, the organization as a whole, and as an HR, we play a part on it so that it's a win-win situation for all. So the first question goes in: where did we lost it? Where the funnel is being moving out. Is it the pre-boarding leaks? Are we doing our recruitment mistakes? Are we doing our hiring mistakes? Is there issues in our assessment of cultural fit, the right fit for the organization? Or is it during the onboarding ways where we have done a good bit of your recruitment practices, but we fail down or we have a slip ins when we onboard the candidate? It can be the early, we call it an infant mortality, right, which needs to be taken care of in terms of the new joinees. The mid journey erosion is basically the larger part of the journey, which talks about the employee value proposition. We talk about the retention, the recognition, the cultural aspect. At the same point of time, do we have tools and practices to take care of employee retention? So that's the the biggest part of it. And then we go for the post mortem that I call in an exit interview. Ideally, when a person has already exited or have thought of exited, discussing and understanding can be a post mortem. And I think it plays an important role for you to understand, till we not only keep it as a record, but use this as an intelligence to work backward and gap fill up the gaps or stop the leaks for the organization. So one of the very important journey that goes into the field is retention, and really thankful to the HR1 team to have picked up. We just calculate retention as the number of people being retained. But I feel today in today's world, it's going to be one of the major impacting support that an HR team can give back to any organization, right, in a journey. And I say how. While retention not only takes care of your turnover cost, but if you go back and do a little bit of simple calculation, a person exits 6 months before that, he's cut off. Maybe on the time of exit and the 3 months of his notice period, he's really cut off. So you have a production loss, or the profit loss, or the contribution loss, you call it. Then you have a new joinee coming in. You have your recruitment cost, the onboarding cost, the training cost that will spend in bringing a new joinee into the team. The person will take gradually, the fastest would take 3 months, okay, to start getting the desired results. And net, if you see, there is an, if you have vacancies for a long time, that would add on to other costs. And as of now, I'm thinking that our recruitment team is just right on time. So there's a still you will have an average productivity loss of 6 months. A 6 months of productivity loss for any portfolio, you can calculate the profit that's being created for that particular grade, and you can turn around to an approx, the cost that the organization is losing. And the same time, if you do a retention, what is the cost saving you are doing for your own organization, your own team? And that's one of the simple way of doing a calculation, and start thinking that you are adding to the company's bottom line by retention. Now, going ahead, after identifying where the retention funnel leaks have been, right? Is it at the pre-boarding set? So you generally, what you do analyze, right? Where did we miss out? Where are the leakages? And then you go and make a fix up, right? More importantly, retention cannot be an ad hoc reaction. It has to be a very well thought of. Uh, it should be a program-led initiative, right? Where you have proactive interventions, that could be proactive inputs, where you have surveys, you have a hearing architecture for your organization, apart from doing the impact in terms of where we have done well, where we have not. So exit interviews give you the post-mortem. Ante-mortem that you do in is a proactive step that you take it, where you analyze yourself, analyze your processes right from your recruitment product. Are you looking for the right candidate basis what's documented in a sheet of paper, or you're relying on your assessments, okay, which is basically, we call it as a culture fit, because skills can be imparted, okay, and there's something that you need to align a culture fit candidate to your scheme of things for recruitment, and then you invest on the exact skill that you want the person to be in. It's easier rather than finding a skilled guy and then not finding culture fit. So there are various other techniques that you can use in, like NPS surveys, okay, to have a survey for the candidate onboarding experiences from the candidates who have been offered in the last 6-7 months. You can also have a random calling done. So that's first level of check. Then you can have those surveys that goes on right from the onboarding to the 30, 60, 90 days of their what you call in the initial period. And then you can have the regular surveys that you have for your employees, maybe yearly. So that's about the surveys. And how do you do on a proactive connect as an HR, as a leader, is always having connections with your team proactively. No agenda talks, no agenda call, no agenda open forums where you can go and address them. It can be a one-on-one meet. so that you can pick up the inputs from the ground, and that can add as an input for all the post pre-mortem that I was talking about. uh, Various other tools are available. So I think we, as an organization, as an HR fraternity people, we need to design our own retention strategy, which is basically very proactive, and then identify the onboarding gaps through the mid-year erosion or a pre-onboarding leaks, or it can be your regular input coming from the the surveys or the connects that comes in. Let me talk about the common misconceptions of the experience architecture model that we call it. Okay, so we talk about what it's not. Okay, it should not be an HR calendar that we have say 2 hours allocated to we and retention conversations to be done for this year. It should not be a tick box. Okay, uh, it should not be something that you take it as a part of a KRA that you finish it up. As I said in the beginning of this session, that you start thinking that as an HR, we are a part of profit center, okay, and you are on a mission, and there should be a belongingness in all of us, thinking that we are adding to the knowledge management and profit center for the organization through retention. So ideally, what it is an intentional emotional design. Okay, as in fraternity should have an emotional connect, an emotional thought of contribution to the organization. Experimental design across the life cycle. As I said, the design should be right from the NPS score for new joinees, the 30, 60, 90 for the onboarding people in the first initial period. Then you can go on the life journeys in terms of feedback on recognition. Very important part that plays in the initial for the new joinees recognition, which needs to be designed in. Then you can have a career planning board where a person should be very clear about their careers. Apart from hearing of the generic issues that the people might be facing in through the surveys, it's always good to address them before it becomes a point of bad experience. We always plan to think about what triggered in when we lost a talent. Okay, what triggered the move for a person to think about moving out is going to be a major key. Then we talk about an exit reason that the person resigns for manager issue, location issue, maybe salaries. Okay, and that's why a pre-mortem is important, where you need to also understand that there could be one point, maybe 3 months, 2 months before the resignation, or maybe at the time of onboarding, where the candidate thought that I don't think it's worth, right? And he quits mentally. So physically, he might quit 3 to 6 months, 7 months, depending on the opportunity or the decision making he doesn't. So once, as an fraternity, as an HR leader, we start focusing on the triggers that led to an attrition, okay, and then streamlining your entire experimental design, right from service, scores, recognition, career pathing, and asking questions. Let me make it very simple. Put yourself in the shoes of a new joinee and think what you would want, okay, to stay in an organization. And maybe within seconds, you will get the hints that what exactly you should do to start with, right? Is it job security? Is it clarity of the job role at the time of recruitment? Having a proper job description? I think what would be a great idea that before the interview panel, there's a panel who speaks about the company's culture, who speaks about the job description, who speaks about the expectation the candidate should have. Or also, and very important part comes in is asking them a question that please ask a question before we start the interview, so that you give them a little bit of clarity. At the same time, you have a process of respecting, okay, the candidate experience, and then we go ahead and design our entire journey. So every organization or the HR leader or a business leader should first prepare a design across the life cycle, and what are the impact that a person would be doing it. Focus on employee feeling. So today you have AI, and you also have various life events that happens across. Maybe a COVID comes in, maybe a slowdown comes in, maybe there's a war like situation. So there are multiple things, and then there are life journeys that employees go through. life journeys for every person as a human being, and there would be different situations where a person would react differently. So it becomes very important to understand the emotional feeling, where through an NPS, or how do we feel on a particular day or a particular situation. And when you start doing this stuff, okay, you start having a belongingness with the employee emotions, right? More importantly than exactly, it's like a customer experience. When you go to a bank and then you realize how do you feel about it, or maybe a MACD or a restaurant, that when you time of exit, they ask for your experience, how happy were you, or maybe an Indigo or airline that you would have traveled, they ask you for an experience. And here, doing that proactively, okay, becomes very very important. So uh, proactive retention is also one thing that we should be speaking about through focus employee feelings. So it's about crafting the experience that you want to give in, and when you go with a very pre-planned and designed mindset, I'm sure you'll be able to help in. So, dividing that into the initial phases, which we call in the high enthusiasm phase, that the person joins in. Every person always comes in with a feeling that he would want to make a difference, and that's how we should feel it. A new joinee would always want to be positive and want to contribute. But how many of them, maybe 30-40% are able to do it? And with our design structure, we'll be able to increase that to 60-70%, which in turn can help you with the employee organization profitability if we design our retention strategies proactively better. So during the initial phase, when the person comes in, and then the reality sets in about the company culture and what they thought is not, and so on. And if they pass this journey, then they start thinking, what is in for me, the growth adaptation. If I do a meaningful job, okay, if the brand is good and there is no growth, and they can't see a future in the organization, they'll start getting disconnected, right? So growth and adaptation part plays a very important part in the journey. So you can divide your touch points, okay, through these five journeys, broad five journeys. There can be many others. And then you design on what are the areas where the person feels plateaued out, okay, and there's active disengagement, because when they see there's nothing in for them, okay, so there are part of engagement where you check through various analytics, through promotion, say timelines, people who have been stagnant, give them new role, give them challenging role. So there are other processes that you can iron out the plateau or the decline stage that goes in. And then the last one is renewal or the exit. While many company focuses on exit interviews, and it works, it's not that it's not worked, but I think the more we work proactively, okay, so that the entire stage doesn't go into an exit, and we can manage people pre-exit through our strategies, and that's how the entire framework needs to be moved in. So now, very important questions, okay, which goes to all of you, is ideally they can be 7 8. So identify, say, maybe 6 or 7 places where we lose our people in our organization. Okay, how do I make our retention compass? Now, going back to what I spoke till now, okay, the question would be, what's in for me, isn't it? So there could be people with say maybe 3 years experience, maybe 15 years experience. And remember, this experience that you have, okay, is going to be very very vital in how you design it. While I spoke about it over the last 15-20 minutes, now I would ask all of you to note down this point, such that you can have a practical experience with yourself. And how do we do it? Identify 5 to 7, okay, not less than 5, not more than 7, okay. What are the retention gaps as per you in the compass? So, did we fail in our pre-boarding, recruitment, or expectation setting stage? Or is it the belonging, okay, which is basically recognition, attachment, how well the leaders have onboarded them, how well the colleagues have supported? Or is it clarity? Clarity on the job, clarity on the expectation, clarity on the future, clarity on the support the organization has laid down for the employees. Okay, or it's the growth opportunities. It's like the developmental input through learning and development, through various assessments, through various trainings, that the tools, maybe the DCs, ALPs, leadership journey. Are you investing into your leaders? Because the employees would see, is there an investment by the organization? Okay, are they building up? And that's a major important part. And the last comes in the recognition. Last but not least, I think every organization should have an retention strategy stitch in through recognition. Make it a compulsion for the initial 6 months, uh, whatever part of retention budgets you would have. Place 30-40% for the new joinee recognition and make it mandatory in your organization. Maybe the first month, second month, it can be a paid retention recognition, or it can be some part of unpaid recognition. A simple sticker pad of you're doing well. I see brightness in you. Well done for a task. The first task achieved. The first target achieved. These are small emotional connects that we need to make with the new joinee, right? It goes a very, very long way. Remember, impact it at the beginning. And that's where your recognition strategies become very, very important. And one part, another two parts which can be important can be choose from maybe your company culture, leadership, how good your leaders are they very well trained and developed to handle a team, or they just have been a good business managers and they have been getting growth, right? And by virtue they are your leaders. So that you can choose another 2 points on leadership, your culture. It can be employee value proposition, and various other. It can be the generation wise agenda that you would want to have. Do you have more of millennials, the Gen Zs, or which part of the employees life journey impacts the major employees in your life, in your organization? So apart from five, you can choose another one or two various other points, parameters there, and then you go for an analysis that where you're losing people. Is it expectation? Is it belongingness? Is it clarity? Is it growth? Is it recognition? Or it's something internal? Could be employee value proposition, leadership, or whatever you identify those, right? And keep it to a minimum of five and maximum of 6 or 7, and that's how you start your journey. Okay, have a quick audit template. So whatever five parameters you have, put it on the x-axis, and then from so medium to low. Okay, a 5 point heat map axis, right? So anything that's high among the five aspects, six aspects that we choose: pre-onboarding, onboarding, first 90 days, which cycle, okay, you are having the various impact. So heat map can help you. You can design your own processes, own analytics to work out. But the more important it is making a complete strategy, and retention should not be a 1 point aspect. It's a journey. Design your own journey. Identify the 5 or 7 aspects that you think should be important. Make and plug and gaps to identify where we are losing it. Pick up top 2 or 3 low hanging fruits. If you want to have an impact, it's very important that as an HR we also feel motivated, okay, of the initiatives that we are doing in. So my way of putting it as up is, once you've identified the top 5, pick up the low hanging fruit that you call in, which has two or three aspects, or maybe which has the highest impact. So pick up that first for resolution. Okay, maybe as I said, it could be recognition, okay, which is leading to 70% of your early attrition, or maybe attrition. And then uh, could be onboarding be number 2. Third could be clarity. Okay, so pick up the highest point, recognition, and fix it up, because with less effort you can get a maximum input, and that will motivate you also to bring in more impacts and journey as a human being. What are the moments that matter? Is it day one? Definitely first impression is the last impression. and that can start with your recruitment journeys as well. Okay, so please focus. Let's focus also on before a person is onboarded. Uh, in every step, the person tries to gauge the organization culture. They try to smell if the organization has a care, a concern, are they soft. So it's very important to first train your recruitment managers, maybe the frontline people who are sourcing your CVs, identifying a sensitive person into your onboarding team, right? Identify a person with patience into your onboarding communication teams, rather than the most high level of recruitment closer person should not be thrown in, because you need to design your set of experiences that matters. And it's been a very old saying that first impression is basically, if not the last, but among the last impression the person goes in, right? And if you've done well there, and if the employee connects with you, okay, during the pre-onboarding days, how well the queries have been answered, how softly has been spoken to, how patiently we have heard them, how we have managed his anxieties, okay, it works out well. And then the journey flows into your onboarding, and then goes through the 90 days, 30, 60, 90. Have a set of questions. Have they got systems, places on time? Has the manager spoken to you? Has he got a mentor? Then could be your first sales experiences, right? And appreciate them. And the 90, you can design your journey into this three phases of all the major 10, 15 aspects that you would want to. Parameters that you design in. Is it salary? Definitely could not be in the initial days because you already negotiated. So it can be about your hygiene parameters. It cannot be training support. It can be the feeling about how the manager has been supportive. Is the HR and leadership approachable? Did they feel the induction content or the learning was appropriate? What they feel should have been done better? It's always good to keep on asking them, and these all can be stitched in into a proactive retention strategy. So after 90 days, I think the initial first year, okay, that it can be a good career review. So make a very robust appraisal system, or basically a confirmation system where feedback becomes very important and it should be given and documented. Areas of improvement should be discussed and documented, and a robust appraisal discussion system, okay, helps a long way into reducing things. So your entire HR journey, if you see in, contributes to the retention. It cannot be one of aspects. And then last, you call in promotions and retentions. The recognition and reward is a major tool. We are human beings, and that needs to be designed in a very, very important way. So, as I was talking about the sample journey map, make a journey map, okay, and that can be that can have an emotional, say, emojis, where you can ask a person about how they felt about the pre-hire, the onboarding, the first 6 months, right? Or maybe the first year, maybe recognition. And then this is how you keep on connecting with people and absorbing how people have felt in, and then possibly you'll be making a proactive decision on the stage where you have major of dissatisfactions, and that's how the course correction you can do it. It's about identifying the design moments. Where did the boredom struck in? Why do you do surveys, right? Why do you do NPS scores for new joinees? If you don't take that data to design your retention strategies, okay, then it just become a survey, a piece of paper which is not used. And remember, uh, today's employees are very, very smart. They understand if they've given a response, they would like to see a positive action. And if they see that the organization or the HR leaders are using those tools to not only hear but rectify tools, you will have a very engaged lot of people working for you. So, with great survey comes the great responsibility. Would be one point that I would mark for the HR leaders. So, for every survey, ensure that we make the rectifications. The other anxiety could be your first appraisal, or maybe the confirmation period, first confirmation probation that's getting reviewed, or the first rating the person is getting into. Have a 360-degree review planned in for new join. It doesn't take much. Today, majority of the people lets the manager decide it. Okay, and that's where we can lose some of our new joinees. So ideal is that have a 360 reviews where we talk about not only performance, we talk about initiatives taken, we talk about the behavioral aspect, we talk about the learning capability. Okay, and I think these all aspects can be included as a 30-40% of weightage, and 60% could be your target versus achievement. Then you can have your peers feedback. Okay, people at senior skip levels can have a feedback, and that's how you can have a wholesome appraisal experience. uh, if you say initial mistake frustration, implement a manager debrief ritual. Very important today, right? That we make the managers also accountable. Ideally, the manager should be accountable for the employee retention. So design a program, right, where the first time managers are trained in. Okay, there are lot many contents available, how to manage a team, because the major accident that has happened, as per my experience, happens with an individual performers who have been a great performers in your company. Fearsome output results have been given by the person, and then you elevate them after 7-8 years, and we expect that that opening batsman who used to score well will also become a very good bowler. Okay, in a parlance of cricket, we've never taken effort to first train the first time managers and put up an expectation management. Okay, right from transition from the individual role contributing role to a leadership role is very very important. You design that, you make a debriefing plan for managers, how to have a protocol for managing a new joinees. And as an HR, when you put it up, okay, people start taking it seriously, and you don't have varied experience. Imagine one person joining into 10 different managers would have 10 different experiences, right, of onboarding. It depends on the individual. So why not design a protocol for manager debriefing and what is the onboarding journey? It can be a welcome letter signed by the MD or the CHRO to a new joinee. It can be a welcome lunch. Okay, it can be a welcome introduction with the team. Let's make a process that person comes in. It's not that he comes in and one person says hi and 80% people ignore them. Okay, why leave it to the way the team is going to manage it? Make a protocol. Let there be a team huddle where a person is invited. Small things can matter. It can be various issues that can be designed. So I was talking about emotional connect. Are we as an HR fraternity, are the leaders, are emotionally connected to our retention tool? Is a question, right? So I leave it there with you. So you identify those design moments, okay, and make it a wholesome journey. And I said it cannot be only HR's responsibility. It's never is. Okay, it should be a joint responsibilities of the organization culture that everyone is involved in, managers influence, okay, and can be emotional touch points. So retention is always a joint effort in an organization, right from the recruiter to your trainer who brought in onboarding, how proactive your training team is engaging with the people, identifying their elevation, how proactive the HR team is working on their career development through the OD initiatives, how well the supervisors are guiding and onboarding, right? How's the culture? A good manager, a good HR will never be able to retain a person when you have an organization culture which is not going to help you. So you basically have a joint effort that we call it. So as I said, first going back to the initial part of the journey that we speaking about, okay, is first design your entire retention strategy proactively, right? Then make an entire design of your journey, right? That we clearly call in uh, pre-onboarding processes, right? You can have an onboarding support team. You can have your learning. You can make a new joinee lead in your team, in your organization, who can be, apart from the KRA, takes up additional responsibility of being a new joinee lead, a one-point contact to review it under you as a leader. So we then first part becomes understanding the employee retention. Okay, very very important. Okay, defining the importance, cost of employee turnover. I'm just doing a recap with all of you, right? that and then when you define it, you have a little bit of motivation when you calculate the cost, and you can show that if you have every person retained lead to an x number of cost, and if you have retained 100, you can show them into some lakhs and crores for the organization. Make a key metrics dashboard. That can be turnover rate, it can be intention, retention rate, it can be the engagement scores of new joinee, nps, 60 days, 90 days, 1 year. Okay, have a scorecard for your managers. Okay, the good managers, right, the developing managers that you can want to develop in. Okay, ensure that it's not a one time activity, it's a continuous journey. Okay, analyzing the real data and analyzing it real time, having those identification of root cause of attrition, right? Having pulse surveys. At the same point of time, I talk about employer branding. The person wants to get associated with a good brand, a good culture, right? And you have various feedback sessions nowadays like Glassdoors, and where people can go and approach, from the back end and get about talk about the culture. Everyone want to work for a good culture, right? So have those designing the onboarding journeys, building a culture of engagement, psychological safety, right? Career pathing. The person should have a career catalog that if you spend 2 years and rated top 15-20%, this is how you should expect your journey. If you are an average performer, this is how you should expect a journey. Okay, once a journey is decided, have a little bit of learning modules planned in which a person can go and prepare themselves. So you are actively engaging a person for the future through recognition. He's engaged personally at this current event, and when you're talking about career, you are engaging the person's mind for the next 2-3 years, right? And then allocating their learning and development such that they go to the learning initiative not as a one day break, but as a part of a career enhancement effort done from them. So the person gets engaged. He has less time to be disengaged, equivalent. And then last but not least, developing your managers. Okay, have the trainable manager habits that you see in. Okay, where there can be a scorecard or a self check-ins. The managers can check it and submit that if the welcome has been perfect, if the briefing has been perfect, if the person was welcomed through skip levels, team huddles, team lunch, maybe a bouquet or a welcome letter. Simple welcome handwritten letter can also make wonders. Okay, in the digital era, we have forgot about that pat on the back. Okay, uh, but a welcome on board superstar, simple word with a pen and pencil can also work it out, right? And we need to accept that the what is the managerial impact and retention. It plays a very very important thing. Otherwise, it becomes a very a non-negotiable thing for HR if it's not a group thing. Next part that I would talk about is talking about the career path and compensation journey. See if the person is doing well. How do we appreciate them through recognition, through compensation, through non-monetary benefit of sending them to external trainings. The top-notch performers, the middle performers, how you can allocate training to handhold them, help them, give them a little bit of flexibility. The new generation, the biggest set of people that we have India today is 24 to 34, with around 60%, 70% of uh, what do you call on a breakup. So the biggest challenge for today, if we want to be successful, uh, HR managers and leaders would be focusing on the millennials, what the millennials ask for, right? And as per the study, they're very difficult to manage. Okay, and we as an HR leaders will have our pocket full. Okay, the bucket full with millennials, if not yet, maybe coming 2 years. They need meaningful careers, right? They would need flexibility, they would need recognition. These are the top three as per my analysis and experiences that I have worked in. Is important to get engaged with the millennials, right? And talk about the flexibility aspect, how you can give them a hybrid working. Okay, maybe a flexi 4 days to choose from if your organization doesn't have work from home, because these are the values. It cannot be monetary every time. Okay, retention, effort, post-mortem after exit doesn't work. So you make those journeys, right? Have predictive analysis. Today AI is going to work for you, where you can go in and take out a trend of absenteeism, take out the trend of late coming, take out a trend of possibly productivity downfall. There could be many other aspects. Take out a trend of person going silent. And the AI tools can be used for analysis, for predictive analysis. You can use your NPS score, see which level of NPS score people have been exiting more, right? Which people have been moving out, have a burnout, the mood meter, emotional meter, how you're feeling at time of entering the office. You can see stuff where person can put it. Designing retention strategy with all those complete aspects that I spoke about, that you might have noted, or you can always have what fits for your work or culture and organization, right? And then have a retention dashboard prepared. How we are in terms proactive in terms of dashboard, is everything going right? If not, how do we check it out? And then make a retention lead in your organization who would see not only the dashboards but also touch base with people. And if you do not have enough manpower, make a team to work on your entire journey, right? Have those metric design. Start releasing your turnover rates to the manager. Show it off to the entire world, right? Let not it be hidden. Show the good managers, show the bad managers, tell them where they're working it out. Make department wise manager retention strategies. Publish those reports to the head of department for the entire department. Okay, show the people who have been doing well. And then, as I said, small checklist that you see on your screen, okay, can also work out, because then the manager feel responsible that it needs to be done, and you're not just leaving to the judgment. We're talking about those metrics, definitely matters, okay. And it's a very famous saying, what get measured, okay, is basically is you will have the results coming in. If it's not being measured, it cannot be done. So the metrics, as I spoke about, turnover rate can be average 10 years. What 10 years people are more vulnerable? Which pocket, hotspot, department, function? You have to churn out your data that can speak to you, and then use the NPS scores to have predictive analysis models. Okay, publish that. As I said in the beginning of this presentation, to make yourself being more impactful person, have the cost per hire versus cost per exit. Calculate the cost of retention or the employee lost for every person left. And if you've retained 100 people, calculate a cost, an average approx cost, which can be shown to the management of the impact that's going to hit the profit center. Who says that HR is not a profit center, right? Then vanity these metrics across over a long period of time. Have your sample dashboards that can be published in. Okay, what can measured can get done. People will be more proactive. Design your retention design. Okay, what are the 10 journey map? What are the gap audits? 10 behaviors must to do. 60, 30, 90. These are the 4 5 I've been able to note it down. You can make another 3 4 for yourself. Now the more important is, what are the key takeaways. So recap the entire principle that we spoke about, right? From calling yourself a profit center, not a cost center. Designing the entire journey can be right from sourcing your CVs, to have your interviews, to your onboarding, to your induction. How do you emotionally connect during induction? How do you sell off your organization, your role as a career to the people? Okay, how you show nurture and care as a part of your stitching journey. How you talk about your culture, how you talk about your career journey, how you talk about a professional career where people are respected, right? All those makes a major aspect. So think this holistically. Okay, identify 5 leak gaps that you would want to work upon. Very simple. It's very simple. You need not be an Einstein to do this. You just need to be emotionally connected. Okay. You just need to have an intention that you would want to bring a change. And as simple as that, everyone can make their own retention strategies by thinking holistically, addressing weak points, creating memorable moments, the design of emotional perks, right? The appreciation, retention engines, empowering your leaders to talk and help people to be retained. Okay, And then we spoke about matrices. And I think our voices for future, okay, is one of the actionable insight for the HR, where basically I would want to thank you to all of those who have joined in, who have heard me. And I would expect a few questions from you if I have been able to put it up, miss out some point that you feel is important, or any clarity that you would want to bring in, or ask me. I'll be happy to share your if you want to share HR practices as well, that can be shared during the Q&A session. So we are excited to hear from you. Okay. And how well you go ahead and make your own dashboard or journey after the session. And maybe every soul saved is a cost saved for your organization. So it's never too late to start a journey. No question is too small. Definitely ask your questions, share your stories, and over to you, Sugandha.
Hi, thank you so much, Abhishek. So we have just opened the panel for Q&A. I'll start with the first question. What stay interviews would be relevant for retention? Would stay interviews be relevant for retention? So if, for example, if we can, implement stay interviews in our organization, would they be relevant to increase retention in the organization?
So my answer is yes. Every effort, stay interview is basically one of the important tools towards the part of retention, because it's a proactive step, right? And as I said during the entire session, that you need to be emotionally connected and always start thinking that what can be done to avoid a mishap. And stay interview is a very important say part of that proactive journey. It works out well, not in isolation, but when you have stitch on your expectation of the entire journey, as I spoke about, from onboarding to your entire life cycle. You have your career planned in, you have your recognition planned in, you have your leadership development planned in. Okay, you spoke about your culture, employee value proposition. When everything is there, stay interview becomes very, very impacting, because you know exactly where what you want and where you're falling in. Just in isolation, it might not work. Okay, so stay interview alone is not going to be very, very impacting.
All right, and we do have a follow-up question also. So, how can you select people for stay interview, and at what point should we conduct the stay interview? As in, at what point in the employee journey should we conduct that?
I would leave that to the judgment of leaders, but I would want to share some of the experiences that I always done it. Is some of the live events. Okay, it can be returning mothers post ML. It can be your women staff getting into marriages. It can be uh, maybe your mm, NPS score. Okay, that triggers in. It can be your attendance data scores, that you're seeing absenteeism due to late coming. Okay, so basically it should be an pre-analyzed stuff. Okay, and life journeys that you would want to put up the stay interviews. Otherwise, just it will be firing in the dark. Okay, so I spoke about the matrices that you would want to have dashboards. Predictive attrition, predictive new joinees, returning mothers, from ML maternity, could be some of them. You can choose yours, and you can only be able to answer it if you put efforts in analyzing them. Simple Excel analyzing, crushing data, and you will get your answer yourself.
Sure, that is absolutely a very insightful answer. The next question is, if you can share from your experience, if there was any situation or incident where you have seen that on something that you changed in onboarding that really helped in employee retention, something from your experience.
Uh, Today, I think that's one of the more very important aspect for HR fraternity. Okay, being an HR leader, your training department and your training leaders, okay, plays a very, very impacting role in success of the organization and success of an HR. Okay, a good CHRO would always have a good learning manager, right? because the entire HR journey is about realigning your set of people. You cannot keep on throwing people, right? Once you've hired, you just need to redesign them. And how do you do them? Having a fantastic L&D team backing a CHRO, okay, an organization, proactive. Those you can use those attrition metrics. They can be part of your strategy journeys. They'll ensure that emotional connect during onboarding is taken care of. Okay, not that someone just putting up the PPTs and finishing off the learning development as a 2 day fun activity. Okay, and it plays a very very important role, as important as the Brahmos in your war. Okay, get the right people, give them freedom, and organizations should spend money. Okay, it should not be taken as a cost, right? Imagine one untrained person staying back is a loss. It's good to have a trained person lose in, okay, but the cost of having an 100% becoming your leader in the next future is going to be very very risky. Very important part, training and onboarding for your team.
Right, and I think that is kind of an investment that you do in the growth journey of your employees and
Absolutely,
development.
absolutely.
Right. So the next question is, can you share, this is similar to the previous question, but can you share a successful retention strategy implemented at a specific journey stage? So maybe career development, exit. Exit, I think, is a great stage.
So basically, career journey wise, my experience said that uh, there was a huge infant mortality, okay, which when you join attrition, and we were not able to understand that what could be the major reasons, okay, and redesigning your onboarding strategies, hearing mechanism of NPS, a 30, 60, 90 days journey, on a survey, quick survey, easily accessible survey on the 30th day. Okay, can be on getting a basic sitting arrangement, your ID cards, your laptops. Did your manager welcomed it? So these strategies at 30 or 60 can be: have you understood your job role? Do you think you're a right fit? Do you think the training was adequate? Then moving into the next journey, do you see your career ahead? Have you been informed about what are the career paths? So I think you can make a 30-60 bouquet, right, of your self learning, self-paced learning, classroom learning, and then the experience on the 30th day. Similarly, have a clarification on the 60th day learning, where person go to the library, pick out this book, read this book, learn this thing, design it up, go to this classroom training. And the third part could be, how have you experienced the organization? So a self 30, 60, 90 process along with mentoring is going to be a very important aspect, if I've been able to answer this question correctly.
That's really insightful because that's a kind of a toolkit that you can prepare a list of questions that can be
Yes.
ready and that absolutely improves the employee relationship also.
Yeah,
So,
this can be homogeneous thing, right? You might get a lot of stuff on the net today, okay, but it's as simple. What works for me might not work for you, okay.
right.
So even if you are an organization of what level, you can design your own stuff. You can design your questions, and you have a lot of surveys online that you don't want to spend, where service can be done free of cost today with the employees, reach fast, immediate, on spot. So design yourself, let's try, and then people can keep on changing it if it's working or not. It's for us to learn as well.
Right. So you can customize it and then keep on changing as we go with the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do mistakes and keep on correcting yourself. That's how we learn and become a good leader, become champions.
Yes. Yes. Right. So the next question is, we are working remotely. So what strategy will work for us? It's a small startup company.
For if I answer this question and I understand it correctly, what strategy of retention works for me or engagement works for me is something I would want to know.
I am assuming it is not mentioned, but I'm assuming I think it is for retention, as in what they can do remotely because they don't have an office
So
where
I'll
everyone
just
lives.
repeat. I think I spoke about it. I'll just repeat for people would have joined late or maybe would have been multitasking during the session. I think it's a Friday working day. First, be it a small company, okay, or one room company. It can be a startup, well funded startup, okay. It can be a a large organization with 40,000 employees, 2 lakh employees, right? And if you are at the help, the simple question comes in: stitch a program proactively. What you think is going to work for you? Okay, I sitting here can never design, or someone else, a consultant, cannot not design that. What is the requisite culture for your startup? Okay, is it flexibility? So start, have a system of speaking to people. Okay, internally make a team to understand what will work out. Is retention a problem for you if it's a startup with the work from home? Right, how can people get bored if they're working from home? So then that's the question you need to ask. Is it because they need human touch? Can it be a once a month interaction? Can the face and voice match up to have a purpose? So these are the questions they need to design, right? Then have those matrices that you would want to for your own team published in. How many people are proactive to connect, proactive to deliver, what works out? So net design a life journey you want for your organization, okay, or a startup. Have those matrices that you would want to check in, that's working for you, and then have a net gap of filling those gaps if things are proactively showing cracks, heal those cracks before that. So it can be a NPS score, emotion survey score. It can be random questioning to understand. Okay, no agenda call to some of the employees to understand what they feel about the organization. As basic as that. Okay, can work about. But then design something, and you can keep redesigning and improving over a period of time. But start with something.
Right, and just adding to your point, it's also very important to take that forward. Sometimes we build something and then we just leave it. It's very important that we regularly.
More important, if you ask the successful leaders now, they'll always tell you it's good to fall as many time, but stand up again, right? No one is born and they can fly immediately. And if all the good leaders that I have followed or spoken to are the one who are humble, who will admit they done mistake, okay, and they will admit they are proactive to fill those gaps and work out and redesign the strategies. Very rarely you will have someone coming in, copying a strategy and making it success. It doesn't work like that in practical world.
Right, that's such a beautiful thought. Okay, coming to the next question, how to track employee satisfaction and engagement regularly?
I missed the initial part, maybe because of network. Can you repeat it again?
So, how to track employee satisfaction and engagement regularly?
So there are various tools available in the market. Okay, you can hire an independent consultant to do that. You can hire a tool to do that. There are various hearing modules, right? I would not want to name those, but tools are easily available. Okay, this can be a 12 parameter questions. There are survey tools. Many of them, they started their own businesses, right? Only telling you, making money by telling you what your team is feeling. Okay, so you can get it on net, site HR, Google, what are the questions you want to design in, and as simple as that, you understand what's going to be important for you. So there are tools, there are consultants, there are agencies. If you're a large organization, you want independent agencies, you can employ your independent agencies. If you're a small organization, you don't have budget, then you can have an online survey tool which is free of cost today. Have 10, 12 questions. Okay, there are many other old surveys available, Gallup surveys, right? Great places to work for. In many things are available. Not, you just put an effort. You don't have to go a long way. You don't need to have a good mentor. Okay, you don't need to spend much. If you have an intention to make a change, you'll find it in a click of a Google or a Chat GPT. Okay, or speaking to some of your friends. So many various other tools that you will work upon.
Yes, and we have one suggestion of Amber or Infido. One of our participants have mentioned that too as an example.
Many. I'm saying there are many organizations today who are doing very fruitful work. Okay, and also providing the services as a business model. So as an HR fraternity, you have an experience. You can make a business model and start helping the startups as well, right? You can also use to develop and help new joinees or startups free of cost, at a part of your gratitude. So there are many other opportunities, that you can talk about.
Right. And Uh, I do also have a question, a follow-up question. So when we do a lot of, these polls that we do, a lot of surveys that we do, sometimes employees tend to fill them just for the sake of it. So how do we ensure that these are honestly filled and not just filled because the company is forcing them to do that?
Two answers to a simple answer. Okay, remember there's a burnout. Okay, which is called survey burnout. Too many useless surveys only because I want to know what's happening is not going to work out. Okay, define the survey fatigue stuff that you should have one or two surveys in 3 months or 4 months. Then decide who does it. Okay, make it a stuff. It could not happen like in the spam SMS coming to you. People will stop replying to you. Second, always have a purpose of that survey. As I said, with great service comes great responsibilities. Okay, I mentioned that word in my session. Don't do the survey to show the management a PPT of yours. Do the survey to bring the change that you would want to. And I'm telling you, if you do a survey, you find a issue, you publish what was the result of the survey, and you promise the people that I'll get back in 3 months with a solution. Then you come back and show them that your feedback was taken seriously, work was done, and here I am. Then you do survey every 15 days, you will have 100% responses. It depends who is getting the survey done, what is your image. Okay, so there, and there cannot be no survey fatigue as well. I'm telling you, I've seen that. So it's all about what they're getting back out of surveys. Okay, but ideally you should have a some say 3 months, 4 surveys in a quarter is fine. Okay, or 3 surveys in the first 3 months is fine. Have those design that works for you. But remember, the most important thing is what are you doing with the surveys. Okay, makes it more impacting if they're going to answer that meaningfully or not.
Right, absolutely right. That's a very important insight. And we do have a couple of more questions, but in the interest of time, we will be posting it on the HR1 Commune platform. We will open it for discussion, and all the participants can drop in their questions, and we can continue the discussion there.
Yes, Sugandha. It's a very important point that you and your team, HR1 team, has prepared. Okay, and I think if it's like aligning your flight dynamics right before you take off. Retention is one of them. And thank you to you and HR1 to pick it up. And I'm sure people will take it more seriously and ensure that it's one of the major fulcrum of the workaround they do in your organizations.
Absolutely. And I think today's discussion helped all of us, including me, on changing a predefined lens on retention strategy, the matrix for analysis, and the things that we did not even realize, the checklists and the toolkits that we can implement in different functions of HR. And a huge thank you to our guest speaker, Abhishek Arun, for bringing your insight, passion, and experience to the table. And everyone who's watching it, you can drop your number one key takeaway in the post that we'll be following after this discussion. And if you've enjoyed this conversation and want to be part of more such inspiring ones, join our HR1 commune. It is a community, a growing space for HR folks to connect, learn, and grow together. There is a QR code that you will see on your screen. You can simply scan that QR code and join HR1 Commune. All right, I'll just take 1 second and put this. Is it visible, the QR code?
I think, yeah, now it is.
Right. So you can simply scan this QR code and join the HR1 commune. And for everyone who joined us, thank you so much. We hope you're walking away with new perspectives, practical insights, and maybe even a little motivation to rethink retention in your own organization. So that is it for today, and we'll be continuing this conversation on HR1 commune. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank you, Sugandha and HR1 team for inviting me and having this discussion. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. And as Sugandha said, definitely come in and put in your words on the suggestions that people are encouraged to bring in such more initiatives for all of us in the fraternity across. Thank you, HR1. Thank you, Praganda.
Thank you. Thank you so much.